Hi, this is Ravi Rose, founder of Iru. Super pleased to be with Brandon Boyd, who is a men's transformational coach. And today we're going to be talking about a really interesting topic, which is the identity of a man. What is it? What are you used to? How has it changed for you? Should it change for you? So we're going to explore all of that because it's very interesting. One of the most interesting reasons for getting divorced is this loss of identity. So, Brandon, thank you so much for being here with us. Really looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thanks, Ravit. So excited. Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, so let's talk about identities a little bit. So, as I work with men around healing work and transformational work, what comes up for all the time is identities, and it's a big deal for everyone, but particularly for men because we attach ourselves to our identities. So, in the context of being a husband, so we get married and we have a identity around a husband and all there's all different types of societal expectations and norms that are projected into that identity. And what begins to happen is we think we are that identity. We think we become that identity. It's kind of like Batman or Superman. Is it Batman becomes Bruce Wayne or does Bruce Wayne become Batman? And so what happens is we get really attached to this identity of husband. And so if and when divorce comes, we can really be um, devastated by it because we've identified so much with this identity, this role that we had. And what I help men do is kind of help them remember and unpack that you are not that identity. You put that identity on, when you were with your spouse, that is an identity you wore, but it's not you. It's an extension of you. It's a part of you. It's a role. It's a cape. It's a costume you could take on, and now you can take it off. But the real you is still intact. And men do this with everything. We do it with our work titles. We do it with different things we decide to pick up on. For me, I'm a martial artist. That's an identity I wear. I don't always walk around as a martial artist and try to attack people in the grocery store. When I go to train, I put on that identity and I train and I enjoy it. It's lots of fun, and then I take it off when I come home. It's the same type of a thing, and I think it's important to in the work I do is like, oh, this identity was something I chose, and I can unchoose it if I decide to. But it's not me. Me is still intact.
So this is really interesting. So if we were to imagine that each person as a whole has different components, right? We have our
Mhm.
role, you have your role as a father, you have a role as a brother, you have a role as a father, as a child, as a whatever. Then you have martial artists, your hobbies, you have all these things, and then you have your role as husband. And you've been raised to think that you're supposed to be a certain way, and that you're supposed to act a certain way, and that these things are supposed to work in certain ways. And when you get divorced, all that starts to crumble because now you start to actually, at an older age, much more mature, much more wise, you're able to see things from a different perspective. And so now you're not following what other people told you, or society, or norms, or your parents, or your culture, or your religion, what everyone told you have to do, because now you're at the point where you're like, hey, I just want to decide for myself.
Mhm.
And when you're trying to decide for yourself, it's like, okay, then what do I want? How do I rebuild and restructure myself? And that's what you do. And this is
Mhm.
something just on the sideline that's something that women go through as well.
Yes.
There's nothing different. The only difference is that I hear a lot of men who say, but my identity was to be a protector and a provider. I was
Hmm.
supposed to go out there and work and hustle and bring home the money. And then when I did do that, everything at home was crumbling. And I didn't know that. And she decided to divorce me. But I did my job. I was the protector and the provider. I did that part. So sometimes it's, well, maybe you think that should be your identity, but that's not in alignment with your wife. Or maybe it's just you changed and both of you are sort of not on the same wavelength anymore. And if that's the case, that could be one of the reasons for your divorce. So take this opportunity to explore, to figure out who you want to be, what you want to do in life 2.0. And it could look totally different, and it's fine, right? I mean, your life is totally different now.
Very different, and incredibly grateful for it. And again, most of the work I do, and you're 100% on spot. This is the same for women as well. They're trying to detach from a wife identity, and this is the work. And so when you do that, and is what begins to happen is when we process ideas and thoughts and emotions around these identities, is you realize, wait a minute, I never chose this identity, or I didn't choose the meaning in these roles within the identity. These were handed to me,
Yeah.
and they're maybe not in alignment with me anymore. The other thing is I like to do is really kind of take people off the hook. We feel so bad. There's such a stigma around divorce in our society. And like, well, wait a minute, let's unpack this a little bit. Is a common thing I hear is, well, they're not the same person that I married. Well, of course they're not. They weren't the same person 5 minutes after you got married, 5 days after you got married. They're completely different beings.
Yeah.
We're organic, we flow. So well, I like to just kind of soften it by saying, well, marriage is just a snapshot. It's a moment in time. Your wedding photos, moment in time. You are not even remotely that person anymore, and neither is she, he, whatever. So we can take ourselves off the hook a little bit and realize that a lot of the things that when we form this identity of a husband or wife, were society given, and society is always evolving and changing. And then we got parental influence. There's a time when women were thought second class. If you don't get married, you don't get yourself a man, then something's wrong with you. Bullshit. And vice versa with men. Well, if you don't have a family to take care of, you don't have children to carry on your name, then what are you then?
Right.
You're just a bachelor. So all these ideas and beliefs get injected in, and now we feel this pressure. I got to go find somebody, or I'm less than. So we unpack all that stuff. We just give that air, give that space to breathe, and like, okay, who am I without the identity of a spouse? And
Exactly.
that's where the fun begins. That's where the creation begins. And it's a little daring. It gets a little hairy because like, wait a minute, you mean I get to choose who I want to be, and if I choose to be in a relationship, and I get to choose what that identity looks like with another kind of conscious partner, if that's what we want to co-create, heck yeah, you do. So I think that's where relationships are evolving to, at least what I've seen and heard.
Okay, so one thing I'm going to say, my observation is that, Brandon, the more you work on these men, the more I guarantee that there will be much happier women out there. Um,
100% agree.
so someone who is more evolved and understands where they are and understands that life is this constant movement and everyone should be you're if you're choosing a new person, you have to make sure that you're always walking together on the same path. So maybe in your marriage you didn't. Like I always say, we never know how to marry. We certainly don't know how to marry. We certainly don't know how to divorce either. So it's
Mhm.
like the blind leading the blind, trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, and all of that. And then you wake up and they go, hold on a second. And then you go into analysis and observation mode, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a man anywhere across the US, you feel that you need some help. Actually, you don't even have to be in the US, you could be anywhere in the world. And all of Brandon's work is done virtually. You want some help, you want to explore, you want to see what are your options, you want to discuss some ideas that you have. Maybe you don't know what you even want. Maybe you just know that you need something, but you don't even know what that thing is. I'm sure that Brandon would be delighted to have a consultation with you and see if and how he could help you. All his coordinates are here below. Thank you so much, Brandon, for being here and for exploring this topic with us. And thank you all for watching. Until the next time we speak, I wish you a day that matters. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.